Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's the Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast. We're here on a Wednesday. It's June 22nd. We're on the eve of the NBA draft taking place tomorrow night in Brooklyn. The Golden State Warriors are your 2022 NBA champions. They dispatched to the Boston Celtics in 6 games, as predicted by yours truly last week on the show. I knew it was going to happen, guys. You tried to talk me out of it, and I had already seen the writing on the wall, like I said, after Game 4. But thank you for your vote of confidence. I appreciate it. I'll remember that as we move forward. But, yeah, Golden State did it. 103-90 in Game 6 to finish off Boston for the 4th NBA title of this run from their big 3. It's been a week, but Adam, what are your thoughts? First up, what's up? Adam, TJ, hi, guys. How you doing?
It's good to be here. I mean, the season's over, but we're continuing the coverage throughout the summer. So, guys, tune in for that. I'm happy. What's going on, TJ?
Well, to quote Curtis Blow, Bill Russell didn't take no junk, and Daryl Dawkins got a monster dunk. Okay, they're playing basketball. Just quoting Curtis Blow here to start this podcast.
You know, when I was in like 7th grade, I wrote this. So I would have been in the 7th grade in 92, and that was when Shaq came out, number 1 pick. I wrote this like super long like rap about Shaquille O'Neal, and I don't remember it all the way through, but I remember some of the lines. Like I talked about like faking the funk and dunking on Alonzo Mourning and stuff. It was like, so I was
Were
like,
you inspired by his raps?
Did you just rip off Shaq Diesel? Because that sounds like a line from Shaq Diesel.
Probably. I was talking about I got my own shoe to bat Alonzo Mourning or something like that. Like it was.
Maybe he copied you.
One of my finer moments.
Yeah. First of all, put some respect on Alonzo Mourning's name, though. Okay. Don't disrespect.
Of course. I mean, it was just because he was the number 1 pick.
Alonzo Mourning
was number 2.
Yeah.
You know?
Alonzo Mourning got dunked on by a lot of people, though. He was a great defender, but he would always get dunked on because people would challenge him.
Well, shot blockers all get dunked on.
Yeah.
If you're a guy who blocks shots, you're gonna have a highlight reel, or you sending people packing, and you're gonna have a highlight reel getting capped.
But I feel like he had more posters against him than even other shot blockers. Feels like.
We had him in studio last week. Tracy McGrady had a famous one on Alonzo, right?
I mean, McGrady, another one. He dunked on pretty much everybody.
Yao Ming, like
Vince had a famous one on Alonzo.
Vince had the famous. Yeah. It was Vince.
Where Alonzo was actually like legitimately upset afterwards. He thought he
Vince
showed him
Carter
up.
was like hanging in the air. It felt like he jumped and then just like went a little higher.
Yeah, Vince was ridiculous.
All right, like I said, NBA Finals thoughts left over. What do you think about the Warriors here, Adam?
Couple things that I was
leftover thoughts.
Yeah, I was thinking about thoughts. Andrew Wiggins, incredible NBA Finals. Did not expect that out of him at all. Obviously, coming into the league, he had huge expectations as a number 1 pick. And I don't think it was ever meant to be that he was supposed to be the number 1 player on a championship level team. I think he's found his role with the Golden State Warriors as the 3rd best player on that team, possibly the 2nd. He was the 2nd. To me, he was the 2nd best player in the finals for them this year. But we'll see next year with Clay getting more time to rehab. But yeah, Wiggins was incredible in this series. And then, of course, obviously Steph Curry just taking that leap in his career. He always had the one asterisk where fans always knew he was great, but people would hold the fact that he never had a Finals MVP against him. Right. He should have won that first year they won. I think 2015 when Iguodala won.
Yep.
So Steph finally taking that leap, getting the Finals MVP, just totally eviscerated the Celtics in Game 6. And Chris, obviously, I know you were in total pain, but I was at the cigar shop, the V Cut on Melrose. Everybody was there. It was a great time. And we were legitimately all like cracking up laughing at some of the shots he was making. Like that's how you know somebody's good, when people are laughing at how absurd the shots are. And so when you get to that level, when you're making people laugh, when you're doing these shots and these moves, you're another level. You're an incredible player. So Steph Curry, I believe he's 34, but the way he conditions himself and with current NBA technology and in the way they're able to condition, who knows when this is going to stop? This guy could have another prime with the emergence of that team with the younger guys for another 5-6 years. So it was awesome to watch.
Yeah, TJ, what do you think? Leftover thoughts from the finals?
Oh man,
a lot to unpack.
I guess the The reports of the Warriors' demise were greatly exaggerated.
I just come back to what you said a couple years ago. It was like, get yours now.
Yeah.
Get yours now, because once this team is fully healthy, look out. And you were way ahead of it. You were 2 years ahead on that, and kudos to you for calling that.
First and foremost, though, let me applaud you, because it's very hard for you sometimes to give me credit amongst the many things that I do say right, and a lot of times that you don't want to give me props. Wow. So I appreciate that you went back and you dug in the crate a little bit and pulled that out. Yeah, man. I was just like, this team, they're losing, they're down because they're injured, right? And I'm like, but if these guys get healthy again, which there's no reason they shouldn't, the days of Bernard King tearing his ACL and having his career over, thank goodness, are done. And the fact that
Dominique with his Achilles.
Yeah, and the fact that they got the number 2 pick, who at the time we didn't know would never see the court, but we just, they're getting the top 3 pick this year. Clay's out, but he'll be back. But obviously, when Wiggins got there, I kind of knew, man, like, here's a guy he's not going to have to carry your franchise like they wanted him to do in Minnesota. And you're right, Adam, he might not have been built to be number 1 player on the championship team. But to be the number 4 on the call sheet on the championship team, man, he's more than adequate and more than built for that. And like you said, he was probably the second best player in the finals. But to start the season, and I always like to put things on movie call sheets, he was definitely 4th on the call sheet. And Andrew Wiggins, man, big ups to him, because that guy had a lot of trash talked about him, a lot of naysayers, let me try that again, a lot of naysayers, because he was the number 1 pick. He didn't do what everyone thought he was going to do. He didn't reach the heights that people assumed he would. So, there was a lot of negativity surrounding Wiggins, like Nick Wright famously saying, when the Warriors traded for him, they'll never win anything. He's washed. Andrew Wiggins, man, enjoy your summer, bro, because you earned it. You definitely earned it.
And he's going to be a free agent after next year. So, I mean, you can only imagine how much he's going to cash in. He pretty much had cashed in before with a 5-year 147 before.
Yeah, he was all right.
And then he got traded to Golden State, and man, he was awesome. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to shout out Klay Thompson, because he didn't have an incredible final series, but he made some big shots. Yeah. You can tell he's not fully where he will be probably next year.
That's also a problem.
Exactly, yeah. He will be a better player next year. I would be shocked if he's not. Just the fact that he was able to come back from those horrific injuries and play the way he did. He has such a positive attitude. You can't hate Klay. He's the most likable guy to me in the NBA. He's so funny. His parade shenanigans alone were incredible. The guy was drinking Hennessy, running over people, losing his hat on the boat. He's just a character. Yeah. He's one of the best people in the NBA to root for, and I wish nothing but the best for Klay. He's just the man.
Yeah, he's totally the man. Like you said, didn't play great, 37% shooting in the finals, still threw in 17 a game, but he's just fun. Like I said, nothing pained me more than to have to root against Steph and Klay, because I love watching them play so much. I love Klay. And to see him come back after 2.5 years of being out, was it 900 and something days between games? Like, it's just awesome. I would have loved to have celebrated this Golden State team, if they played anyone else in the finals. If they played against Miami, if they played against Brooklyn, if they played against Milwaukee, probably, because I just didn't want Milwaukee to go back-to-back, whatever. It's just like, it was tough. It was a tough finals for me. I got to be honest. I really only watched about a quarter and a half of Game 6. Like, you could just tell.
You had the feeling.
They were up. Boston got out to a 14-2 start. I was yelling and running around my house. And then I don't know what happened after that. Just like they forgot how to play basketball. It was really bizarre. And once you could see it going a certain way, I was like, I'm not going to ruin my night by watching this whole game. Congrats to Golden State. And we're on to next year. It was an awesome Celtics season. I'm never going to forget this run. And hopefully these guys don't either. And use it as motivation to get back. I mean, the East is really tough. The East, there's a lot of really good teams and a lot of really good players. Really curious to see what Brooklyn does, what moves they make. We'll talk about that in a second. Philly, what moves they make. Miami, they're going to make moves. And then if Boston ends up adding a player like Nick Batum or something like that, another big perimeter shooter. But Boston has a lot to be proud of. Tatum has a lot to be proud of. First team All-NBA this year. He's only going to get better, which is a crazy thought. And Golden State was just a better team in this series. I don't think they were the better team overall. I think Boston was a better team when healthy. If both teams were 100% healthy, I think Boston wins this series every time. But they weren't. And with the experience of the finals, and Curry kind of took his game to another level, Adam, like you said, we were kind of waiting for that. We'd never really seen it in the finals before, aside from that 147-point game against Toronto, which is a series they lost. But kudos to Steph and Clay and everybody on that team except Draymond Green. I'm happy for them. And
going back to Clay,
ring number 4.
Like you said, Adam, the injuries. He's injured during a game we all saw. And then we get news one random day that Clay's rehabbing and then he gets hurt again. So you can imagine, like, mentally what this guy had to go through when you were in the peak physical condition and you're at the peak of your given vocation, which he was. And then to have 2 injuries back to back like that, mentally that had to crush him. You could see there were times, like he even said, times where there were shots of Clay sitting on the bench crying. Like
sad Clay,
because this guy had to think, like, am I ever coming back? Am I ever going to be able to go out? There was a video going around at the end of last season, Clay sitting on the bench wearing a mask, and Steph comes over with a towel over his head, and he kind of sits off. They're not on the bench, they're kind of behind the bench. And it was the end of their season last year, and Steph kind of goes over to Clay, and he kind of puts his hand on his shoulder, and Clay, he's wearing a mask, but you could just tell from his eyes the sadness. His shoulders are slunched down, and Steph kind of just sits next to him, and you could tell the two of them were just like, man, this sucks. And I promise you in that moment, they're like, we're not going to have this feeling again, and they sure didn't. One guy we didn't mention and I want to give a shout out to is Gary Payton II.
Yeah.
Simply because, first of all, joining his dad, Gary Payton, the legendary glove, becoming the 5th father-son duo to win an NBA championship. But not only that, if you know his story, getting drafted in 2016, bouncing around from club to club. I think he may have gone to Europe. But the thing was, if he would have gotten cut by Golden State this year, you know what he was going to do?
I do.
Yeah, he was going to join the media department. He was going to
be the video coordinator.
The video coordinator in the media department for the team.
For the Warriors?
Yeah. Had he gotten, because he was already I think he had gotten to the point where I've been cut so much, this isn't working. He was looking to his future after basketball. Wow. He was ready to accept this job if he got cut, and they were going to hire him. And luckily for him, he didn't get cut. And now look at him, man. The guy.
You know who started out in the video department?
Eric Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah. So I just found that, I thought that was a great story. Like, he came so close to being like, all right, my dream's not going to happen. And then the next, this guy's, by the way, he had a dunk in that last game that was phenomenal. Like, the dude's got hops. He's, I'm always a fan of second generation stars, whether it be in football, basketball, pro wrestling. You get a lot of that in wrestling because you're able to watch like a father for years and years. And then next thing you know, his son or his daughter comes up and wrestles. So I'm a big fan of just watching generations kind of follow in the parents' footsteps. So
the Warriors have 3 of those. The Warriors have 3 of those guys on their team.
Yep, exactly.
Wow,
so
that's crazy. More likely to get back to the finals next year, Warriors or Celtics?
I'd say the Warriors, just because the East is going to be such hard competition next year. To be honest, Chris, obviously the Celtics were great this year, but I kind of doubt if they would have beaten Boston if Chris Middleton was healthy.
Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee.
Oh, what I say? Oh, yeah, Milwaukee. Yeah. So that and the fact that Brooklyn, with who knows what's going to happen with them, but then you obviously have Durant, and they'll be. I mean, conceivably the Sixers and I just think there's a lot of competition in the East, and there's good teams in the West, but I believe at this point the Warriors are another level above the Suns and the Mavericks still. So I would bet that the Warriors get back.
Even the Grizzlies?
Grizzlies, I'm not big on.
You kept saying that whole playoffs, and they proved you wrong. Not
really. They barely won. They barely won the first round against Minnesota, and then the second round, they played decent, but I never really actually thought that they'd win the series. They're going to be a good team. eventually. I just don't think they're there quite yet, including next year. I just don't think that they have the weapons to go against Golden State, especially with James Wiseman coming back healthy. I just don't see it.
Yeah, but what do you know about James Wiseman? Nothing.
I know that he's talented, and he was.
How do you know that though? Like we've never seen.
We did see him in his rookie year. He had stretches where he'd play. He's a talented player.
Yeah. Played a little bit. I don't know that I'm gonna like use him as the measuring stick to say that he's going to be the one to get a team over the hump.
No, I'm not saying, but
he's
he's just another addition to this already loaded Golden State team that's just going to add to their.
And also, like, Golden State's never played with a center, right? So, like, are they going to? I'm just wondering how he's going to fit. Like, they don't run a traditional set, right? I just don't know.
Yeah, he played half a season his first year, 12-6. I mean, it's pretty good.
Decent.
He can thrive with Steph off the pick and roll. He can be one of those guys. If he can become a Chris, I've said this from the start that obviously he needs to improve a lot to become this level, but the Chris Bosh comparison can be there. If he can hit that outside shot, he's a lefty, and he can get rebounds and block shots and do the pick and roll with Steph.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with everyone listening. I have not watched enough James Wiseman playing basketball to sit here and compare him to anyone. So I really don't know what the guy's going to bring. 12-6, as you said. Got to see how he fits in with this team. The team doesn't really run sets for like a big man, right? So I don't know. Is he going to fit in there? Do you think? Is James Wiseman going to be that big of a player for them next year? I guess is what I'm asking.
I believe in Steve Kerr, and he'll figure out a way to get him to fit in. I just trust Steve Kerr.
They just have a lot of guys like who doesn't come back. Does Bielitsa come back? Mooney, Looney, all these guys. Like, well, what?
Is Iguodala? Is he a free agent? He's got to be thinking about retiring.
He's also
right?
like 83 years old.
Yeah, Iguodala, great career by the way. But
Iguodala's also like I saw something funny on Instagram the other day, and it was like, and I don't buy this because this man has rings himself, but somebody was like, Iguodala is who Udonis Haslem thinks he is, which I thought was a little rough. That's because UD has rings. It's not like he don't got rings, but he has been hanging around 20 years now, but I feel like he serves a purpose on that team and in the locker room, and I'm sure that's what Andre does, because you could see like points where Iguodala would take Peyton. When Peyton would get out of the game, Iguodala would be on him before the guy even got off the court, in his ear, kind of telling him what he did wrong, pointing things out to him. So veteran leadership and presence like that, you can't understate. So maybe Iguodala does come back. I'm sure he'd take like the minimum, obviously, probably, to come back.
Essentially being a glorified coach.
Yeah, really. It just depends if there's a spot for him.
TJ, who do you think will more likely have a chance to get back?
I mean, that's tough. Like you said, the East is going to be strong. Obviously, you cannot forget about the Los Angeles Clippers, especially with Kawhi Leonard having more than a full year to come back healthy. We all know what Kawhi can do on the basketball court. Paul George, healthy. I think that they're going to make a move or two. I'm not really sure what that move is going to be, but I'm going to say you're going to have to look out for the Clippers next year.
All right, here we go.
Until the Clippers curse happens, because inevitably it always happens, and and it just upsets me.
All right, here we go. We're going to do it right now real quick. Way too early. Every team is 100% healthy. Top 5 power rankings heading into 2022-23.
All right. Well, the Golden State Warriors have to be number 1.
Why?
Because they're the defending champions.
But 100% healthy, they're not the best team in the league.
But
well,
you believe that the Celtics are, and I don't know that I agree with you on that.
100% healthy, the Celtics are better than the Warriors.
No, they're not.
I don't.
100% healthy?
No.
What?
Because then Klay Thompson's 100% healthy.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Look, we can agree to disagree. But.
So, they're the defending champions, unless Steph or somebody retires going in. I think you have to put them at number 1. How could you not?
I agree.
Well, there you go. All right. So you guys have the Warriors number 1. Let's keep going.
2, I have the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, Chicago Bulls with Rudy Gobert. Yes, the starting lineup.
Milwaukee?
Yeah, I got to go Milwaukee. You have Giannis, who to me is still the best player in the league. Yep. Overall. Steph was incredible, but overall, Giannis to me is still the best. So, yeah, you have him. You have a healthy Middleton. Hopefully, Lopez will be fully healthy. So to me, yeah, they're number 2 right now.
Okay.
All right, Brockman, take 3.
Well, I don't think the Warriors are number 1.
I just don't know how you can say that. Though.
Yeah, I mean, 100% healthy. I kind of think Milwaukee's probably number 1.
Okay.
I kind of think Brooklyn is in the top 5 as well. We don't really have to put them in any order.
We don't even know who's on their team. All we know is Kevin Durant and Joe Harris. That's all we know for a fact.
Well, and Kyrie Irving is technically on the team as of 12:43.
We don't know where Kyrie's going to be.
A lot can change tomorrow.
I mean, Ben Simmons, a lot can change. I actually think Denver is in the top 5 if we're looking at completely fully healthy teams. Like, look how good they were this year. Jokic was another MVP. Didn't have 2 of their best players. Players number 2 and 3, not healthy, not playing the entire season. And as much as I don't want to say this, probably the Lakers are probably in the top 5.
No.
With a fully healthy LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Not in the top 5. There's no way.
What do you mean there's no way?
That team is trash besides those 2. Who else is good on that team?
I mean, a team in the NBA, all you need are 2 good players, and you can go all the way to the finals. We just saw it.
But to compare that Lakers team to all these other great teams, there's so many good teams now. To me, there's not even a chance that they're in the top 5 right now.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All right,
and I think the Celtics are up there as well.
Adam and I have Golden State 1. You have Milwaukee 1, right?
I have Milwaukee 1. I'm going to put Golden State not even in my top 5.
Ooh, that's a hot take, baby. All right.
He's just angry about what happened.
Heading into the season, I got
hot like fire.
Milwaukee, Brooklyn,
BK.
Boston, Denver, Lakers. In no particular order.
All right, who you got, Adam? You got Golden State, Milwaukee.
Golden State, Milwaukee. Fully healthy
heading into the season.
I'm going to go Clippers. Clippers, number 3.
I like your style.
I'll go.
That's a good one. I should have did Clippers instead of
Well, I mean,
I'll go Celtics 4. And this is the homer in me. If we get Rudy Gobert tomorrow,
oh, come on.
The Bulls can be.
If we get Rudy Gobert?
Dude, that starting lineup.
If the Celtics get Bradley Beal, we're number 1. I mean, we're playing that game?
Okay, well, with the current roster, then we're not. But tomorrow, if we get Rudy Gobert, the Chicago Bulls can be a top 5 team in this league, fully healthy. That is an incredible lineup. Yeah, bad stuff will probably happen with injuries or whatever, who knows, but that team can really... I know I'm a homer. I know it.
Yeah, it's fine. We all are.
But I'm going with the Bulls, number 5. So take it or leave it.
Blatant homerism. It's a great segment.
Yeah, take it or leave it. Bulls, number 5.
TJ?
All right, well, I got Golden State 1. I got Milwaukee at 2. I'm going to agree with Chudwin there. I'm going to go Clips at 3, C's at 4.
Clips are nice.
Number 5, man. You know what? I thought I was going to do a stretch here, but I don't know if this deal's going to go through, so I'll hold off on it. And if they're healthy,
Sixers?
Nah, I mean, as much as I want to, but I'll say the Nuggets, man, because I think people kind of forget Jamal Murray, before he got hurt,
that's what I'm saying,
was putting himself on that next tier, man, and then he got hurt. So we just got to see how he comes back. But if Jamal Murray can come back to 90% of what he was, if he can come back to bubble Jamal Murray, then yeah, these Nuggets are a problem. And also,
PJ.
Think about, yeah, exactly, him too. But think about what that does for Joker. Now, all of that isn't on his shoulders. He doesn't have to score the many points. He doesn't have to, do everything that he had to do currently without those two guys, without Porter and without Murray.
The NBA is in such a good place because think about it. We just did not mention the 64-win Phoenix Suns. We didn't mention 56-win Memphis Grizzlies. We didn't mention probably the best young player in the game, Luka Doncic. We didn't mention who else?
Well, the thing about Dallas,
Raptors,
Phoenix is
the Sixers.
I think it's kind of a known thing that I don't believe Ayton's going to be there next year.
Yeah, that's a team I could see taking a fall for sure.
And by the way, I would have put them 5th, but because we don't know the Ayton situation, that's why I couldn't put Phoenix in 5th. If he's back, then because I feel kind of bad for the Suns, right? They had such a great regular season. Yeah. They had 2 bad games in the playoffs. And by the way, they were bad.
They lost by like 50.
They were
really
bad games.
Bad.
But, bro, they had 2 bad games literally
Game
in the entire
7 at
playoffs.
home and got smoked.
They got smoked. But are we going to allow that to take – and then, of course, all the trash talking about Chris Paul, like he was just some bum and stuff and all that stuff start coming out. But, You take away the 2 bad games at the end of the season, this Phoenix Suns team was really good. They had a great season, and if Ayton comes back, I'll put them in 5. From what I'm understanding, it looks like he might not be back.
And they were up 2-0 the year before Milwaukee in the finals. I wonder if we're going to find something out in a few months that, like, this team had a secret COVID outbreak or something, and they all were sluggish and sick.
Yeah, because remember, a few of them missed a game.
I just don't understand what went wrong with that team. I also lost a lot of money, like, betting on them. Okay. Also, that's what I wanted to point out, just the talent. Like, the league, I think, it's really in a place we've never kind of seen before in talent-wise. I mean, if you look at 1 through 10, the playoff teams this year in each league, each team has a super-duper star, you know? Like, Zion Williamson is going to be back. He looks great in some of these workout videos, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards, super-duper star. The Clippers, they're 2 superstars. DeJounte Murray, superstar. Trae Young, superstar. Darius Garland, superstar. LaMelo Ball, superstar. The league's in such a great place talent-wise.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. To me, I'm a little more discerning in terms of the word superstar.
Yeah, some of those guys I don't know are
well, they're stars though. They're stars.
They're stars.
Yeah, they're stars. But to me, they're
also young stars,
up and coming.
Could be first-team All-NBA at some point. That's just what I mean.
Yeah, I don't remember a time when there's been this much talent in the league. Maybe the early 90s, early 90s, I guess.
Maybe. When
you had like the end of Magic and Larry and Jordan in his prime and all those guys, but I haven't seen anything like this. You have the old guard.
You guys don't remember in 1996 that draft class when there was like 13 guys, and in 97. I mean, the late 90s, we can't forget the amount of talent that came in.
The late 90s, I don't think was nearly as talented as now, though. The late 90s was kind of a drought. A lot of bad offense, a lot of 85 to 75 games, a lot of busts, and
there was a lot of great defense though being played.
But if you look overall, there just weren't. The late 90s to me was actually one of the worst periods of the NBA. The late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, there were just some tough games to watch.
So you tell me those Lakers dynasty in the early 2000s, that was bad basketball?
No, they were an amazing team.
Of the Spurs dynasty, that was
anomaly. I mean, a lot of Knicks Heat, like crappy ass games, to be honest.
And a lot of teams that were
was
just
like
really bad.
mid-90s though, like whatever. I mean, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
I think just to Adam's point, there's 25 guys in the league right now who would be first team All NBA and 25 years ago. Every team has sensational young players.
Yeah, it's amazing. Off the top of my head, the only team that doesn't necessarily have a potential superstar is really like
Orlando.
I was going to say the Magic.
Yeah,
like maybe Cole Anthony will become good. They're getting a top 3 pick this year, but off the top of my head right now, every team kind of has a guy.
Well, the Kings don't. The Magic don't.
Sabonis. I mean, not that he's a superstar, but
I guess Fox. I like Fox.
Sabonis is a good player. I mean,
but I guess you could say the Kings. But who else?
Just a lot of great young talent in the league. That was my point. I didn't want us to argue about eras. I'm just pointing out that, so many teams have a lot of really good young players, as we come towards the kind of end of career of Kevin Durant and LeBron, and Steph has been around for a long time now. It's just good to see the league in good hands. That was my point.
Yeah.
Any follow-up thoughts on that? All right, here's something I did want to do. There seems like there's just a lot of news popping. The NBA draft is tomorrow. We're not going to talk really any draft, really. We can react next week in case there's some big trades or anything, but I think everyone kind of thinks Jabari Smith is going to go, number 1, and then afterwards, Chet Holmgren or Paolo, and we'll see what happens there. But what did you guys think of this Kyrie news from yesterday? Was it the least surprising thing ever to wake up and see a headline with Kyrie, his team X, and then the word impasse about his future, TJ? Was that shock you at all?
Nothing that comes out about Kyrie is shocking at this point. It's just like,
what is it with this dude?
I wish I knew, man. I mean, because it's obvious, like, Kyrie does good things, right? He really does. If you look around and you look at some of the stuff where he's donated money and the things that he's done.
Paid for WNBA player salaries. And, of course. Building homes.
So he's done great things. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, man.
So
he makes it hard, I guess, for himself. But, if these are things that you believe in and you want to stand firm, then you know what, man? If a man's got a belief, to salute, as they say, but I don't get some of the choices, I guess, that he's
Do you
made.
think he's on Brooklyn next year, or do you think it's one of the other three teams rumored? Lakers, Clippers, Knicks, Adam?
Ooh. I just don't see what those other three teams could give up in equal value. Who are the Lakers going to give up for Kyrie that's anywhere close to him? Westbrook is not tradable at this point. Nobody wants Russell Westbrook. That's just the truth of the matter. They don't want him.
They don't want the $47 million salary.
Yeah, his contrast is a huge albatross. Nobody wants that. And then the other teams, you said the Knicks, maybe RJ Barrett in a draft pick. No, that's not going to happen. He's not going to go to the Knicks. And then the last team, you said the Clippers. Well, they're not going to give up Paul George or Kawhi. So unless they're trying to fleece the Nets, that's not going to happen. So to me, I just don't see a viable trade for him. So if I had to bet, I see him staying on the Nets to start the year.
Can Kyrie be the best player on a championship team?
At this point in his career, no.
He's actually never done it.
No.
I mean, yeah, he was number 2 to LeBron in his only title run in 2016.
And by the way,
Great spot to be in.
guess who else is number 2 to LeBron? Everyone that plays with him. Sure. So there ain't no shame in that. And also, you look at Kyrie, man, he won that first championship, like pulled up on Steph, busted the jumper in his eye when a lot of people are like, what are you doing, Kyrie? And he hit the 3. So, if there was a way, Rich asked me that yesterday, would I like Kyrie on the Clippers? Oh, the answer is absolutely I would like Kyrie on the Clippers. And as if it doesn't cost you Paul George or Kawhi, then yeah. Now, the question was why? Well, we were just talking about the Cavs winning the NBA championship in 16. Who was the coach?
Ty Lue.
Who coaches the Clippers?
Ty Lue.
So if there's someone who maybe can manage Kyrie and kind of understands him and maybe who Kyrie respects, because, you're starting to hear rumors now that after Steve Nash had a practice, Kyrie would hold his own separate practice after the official practice.
I don't
know if I should look at that as a bad thing or not. Because I think right off the bat, people wanted you to look at it as a negative. My first thought was like, yo, my man's just getting extra work in. And if you're getting extra work in, it's kind of hard to knock somebody for that. Now, if you're doing that second practice because you're trying to overwrite what the coach was saying, obviously that's a huge issue. We don't know, which box that, this information should go in. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and just say maybe he was trying to get extra work. But yeah, if there was a way that you could get him to the Clippers without losing either of those two, sure, because Kyrie is still, guys, when it comes to food chains in the point guard world, he's definitely still near the top of the top of the food chain. So if you could get a chance to get him, but I kind of agree with you, Chris. I just don't see a way that it does happen.
Man, if you're just looking at fits, right? It's so frustrating.
Well, it's frustrating that Dame Lillard didn't listen to me months ago and try to get his way to Philly, because that would have been the best choice for him. But, whatever. I mean, I gave up at this point. My hands are in here.
Yeah, I don't want to jump around too much, but, the Dame situation is just insane to me. What does the rest of his career look like? I don't want to get too far off of Kyrie because I still had one more point. Kyrie, Kawhi, and Paul George, that's a nearly unstoppable trio.
Oh, they would win the championship.
I believe so.
I really believe that. He fits perfect. He fits perfect with them.
Fits perfect with those two guys.
Yeah.
Which is why it's kind of insane to me that it just didn't work with Harden and Durant.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Well, Chris, what I'm fond of saying here on the podcast, we talk about chemistry. A lot of times the only thing pH balanced in some of these clubhouses is the shampoo. So sometimes it just comes down to there's just some kind of chemical thing that's just not working. And apparently that's what went on in Brooklyn.
With the Clippers, with Paul George and Kawhi, you get better defense, way better defense especially with those two players. Yeah, than Harden and Durant. So Kyrie's he's not a great. He's all right as a defensive player, but his offense is so good. But then you have the defense with Paul George and Kawhi that would make that threesome a championship level team.
Fill in the rest of the holes like Zubac and whoever.
Yeah,
if you could keep Reggie Jackson, but of course, if
Reggie Jackson,
he'd have to go.
Yeah, he'd be probably the number one guy they want.
Norm Powell, get Marcus Morris to stay, and what do you think Kevin Durant is thinking now? Because he sees the team he leaves win a championship now that no one really thought was probably ever going to happen again. Like, let's be honest, I don't think we thought a fourth title was in the cards for Steph and Clay and Draymond. And then now, the guy he wanted to team up with for some reason, Kyrie Irving, now there's talks that he might leave. And now Kevin Durant is just kind of Will Smith at the end, just kind of looking around the house. We'll probably never know the actual reason because he's too busy trolling and fighting people on Twitter and just just doing whatever he does. But what do you think he's thinking right now, TJ, Kevin Durant?
That is a tremendous question, man. I feel KD, man. He's embattled in this feud with Barkley right now, and they're talking about bus drivers and this, that, and the third.
Stupid.
The thing about I love basketball. I love basketball more than football. I love it more than baseball.
Why we started this podcast.
I love it. With wrestling, it's probably on equal footing. But the old school NBA and the new school NBA, these guys just can't get along. They just you rarely, and it does happen in football, granted, but not to the effect that it is in basketball, where you have the players from the past constantly at odds with the players of today. It happens, like I said, sometimes in football, and you never see it in baseball. And it probably happens 10 seconds ago in basketball. Like, I don't understand. Is it jealous? I guess I get to a point, right? If you were one of the best players on earth in the 90s and you see what these guys are making today, of course, you're going to be a little bitter because, you know that had your parents just met a decade later that, your whole life savings would be a little bit different, right? But, KD walked into a situation where he got so much crap, right? He walked into Golden State. And no matter what anyone tries to say, he was the best player on those two championship teams.
No doubt.
I mean, with all due respect to Clay and Steph, who were balling at the highest level, Kevin Durant was the man. Now, does it hurt that argument when they've won without him? Yes. So basically, I'm just talking right now, and I'm waiting for one of you guys to jump in because I'm very confused, and I don't know what to think. It's like he definitely drove the bus on those championships, but now the bus has come back around the block, and you see there's a different driver, and it's still on the same route, and I don't know what he's thinking.
Just to your point about jealousy, about the money, you want to play the career earning game for Clyde Drexler?
Oh, man.
Let's. I would say Clyde Drexler.
We were talking about so just Andrew Wiggins is entering the final year of his 5-year, $147 million contract. Andrew Wiggins, who we just said is the fourth guy
on the call sheet.
Fourth guy on the call sheet. Clyde Drexler, number one on the call sheet for most of his career.
Yeah.
Career earnings. Adam.
How many years did he play?
He played
from like 84 to 90,
he
98
played
maybe?
11 in Portland and 3 with Houston.
Yeah, so 14.
I'm going to go with $45 million.
Okay, TJ?
I'm going to say $52 million.
Well, you guys are way too high. Too much credit. Okay, Clyde Drexler, his last 3 years in Houston, 9.8, 5.5, 5.5. The majority of his 31.1 career earnings.
Wow. Oh, my God.
See, and so you can understand.
I mean, again, Clyde isn't the one doing any of this talking. I have no idea what he sounds like, even though he's been on this show. But that guy, all-time great.
Yeah.
Top 75 of all time. All 80s team, for sure. Like, the second best two-guard of his era. $31 million.
He would have, if he was coming up in his prime now, his career earnings could possibly have been $400 to $500 million. Yes. He could have had 2 max contracts at $200 apiece.
Clyde had his own shoe, okay,
and he had the all-world game.
Yeah, but I'm saying just the sneaker contract alone, he had his own shoe, which they didn't pay like that back then.
Right.
So, you got guys now getting $100 million coming out of college for a sneaker deal.
Five-time All-NBA
Imagine Phi Slamma Jamma in the NIL era. Oh my gosh, Clyde Drexler would have been paid. Like
even if you look back, like Michael Jordan would only in his prime in the early 90s was only making, I believe, maybe $2 to $5 million a year.
The Michael Jordan,
the most criminally underpaid athlete in the history of sports
ever by far. He was making way more off his endorsements from Nike and Gatorade and Wheaties than he ever was from his salary.
McDonald's.
The only time he actually made real significant money with the Bulls was 97 and 98 seasons.
So Michael Jordan, you want to do the Michael Jordan career game real quick?
Yes.
Well, I know he made a lot in his last 2 years, so I will say his total earnings with the Bulls or Wizards also.
Oh,
because that's important.
The Wizards is only $1 million each year.
Okay, so maybe it's not important. I'll say Jordan's career earnings were $75 million.
Okay, TJ?
I'm going to go a little over that, and I'm going to say
over.
$86 million.
Okay, so Michael Jordan, in his two mega years, 97, $30 million, 98, $33 million. That's $63 million right there. Add Clyde Drexler's career, and you got $94 million from Michael Jordan. But without those 2 years, at 31.
Can't even fathom that.
Yeah, and so to our point, a completely different era in the NBA than 25, 30 years ago of the salaries guys are making. So I totally understand why some of the old heads, want to talk down this era of basketball. I totally understand.
And also, you get, but then we have to take into consideration that time, okay? Because that money at that time, that was huge money.
Right.
So
I mean, Jose Canseco
Inflation.
was the first ever $1 million baseball player.
Yeah, and that was
in like 1988.
Yeah. So
of course,
take that into consideration.
And they're also huge haters, not only on the amount of money people make, but I think it's more of the style of play that I see the 80s and 90s players talking trash on players now, because they're constantly saying, it's a bunch of wimps now, no defense, like you like no handshakes.
But they've got a good point there, man, because you can't touch people now. Like Michael Jordan playing today, I mean,
50 a game.
Maybe not 50, but he's definitely probably getting. He was getting 37 a game when they could beat him with a bat.
Yeah.
And he didn't shoot threes.
No. So imagine him now. If you breathe on him, he gets a foul. Mike's averaging 45, 46 a game, and that's not like hyperbole either. And like I said, hit him with the bat, they were getting hit, bro. And I don't understand when people say they miss the old days of that. Like, do you miss guys getting clotheslined and like? There's nothing about that would make me go, I want to see someone else put in a position where they're getting like their teeth knocked out or they're getting, undercut. Like, I don't know. I don't pine for those days.
Yeah, I don't miss those days, but I also don't love today either, where the last 5 minutes of a game takes an hour. Where we're reviewing every little tiny thing, where, a hard foul suddenly becomes a flagrant 2, and he's ejected, and here's 2 shots, plus 2 technicals, plus the ball back, and suddenly, Golden State has a 7-point play. Like, I don't love that specific of today's game either.
I agree with you there.
If we could somehow find a healthy mixture of tough, hard-nosed basketball.
Let them play
a little bit, but also if it's obvious,
call
a foul. Yeah. The officiating is just so tough to watch sometimes.
It really is.
So. We got off the point of what Kevin Durant's thinking.
Oh yeah, but you kind of look at him on Twitter, and he does a good job. People say that he's sensitive, but I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily sensitivity. If someone's, and I'm finding this out, which we have fun with, and I hope you know that I'm having fun with. If you see someone say something about you on like a YouTube page, props to you, right? If you're someone who can see some jabroni on his phone talk trash about you, and you take the high road and be the better man and not talk back to them. If you can do that, then man, come teach me the way, because I can't do it.
But that's what they want.
That's what they want. So Durant, like I like to say, people want attention. I'm here to give it to you. And I think that's how Kevin Durant feels. Bottom line is this: Kevin Durant's place in basketball lore should be pretty secure. He is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. He's one of the greatest basketball players we've ever seen. He's got 2 rings, and whether or not he went somewhere else to get them or not, he won MVP of those finals. And, you know, with a size smaller shoe, maybe he goes to a final last year. He doesn't tear his Achilles. We don't know what happens, but I feel like Kevin Garnett, I think Kevin Durant, you know what? Don't take the cheese, bro. You're one of the greatest of all time.
To me, he takes pleasure in clapping back at the
Yeah,
Bulls.
he does.
He genuinely
definitely
enjoys
likes
it. He enjoys. It's like a hobby of his.
Because, like I said, like really, the bottom line is this, Adam. He should look at there and be like, "I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. And if you think you're going to talk trash, no, because I'm good at talking trash and I'm good at basketball. So what really can you beat me at? You can't."
You would think, apparently, people say that Kevin Durant is super boring in the offseason. He essentially just stays in his house all day, plays
ball is life.
Games. Yeah,
plays video games and smokes weed. That's really all he does.
It's a good life.
It is. It's a good life. But you would believe with all of the opportunities he has and all of the money and access to everything he has, the fact that he's essentially wasting his time talking back to these trolls is kind of crazy to think about.
I think so, yeah.
I guess if you get pleasure out of it, then who's to say what to do? But he has so many other things he could be doing.
Is it time, though? Like, it takes 10 minutes to sit and if you gave me 10 minutes right now, I could tweet 35 times, put my phone down, and never look at Twitter again.
Even put your mind in that sort of place, to me, it just seems kind of a waste of even a mindset to do that. I don't know, but I'm not Kevin Durant, so.
Like I said, you guys should really check out the book by Matt Sullivan that follows the Nets. You know, during the pandemic, before and during the pandemic. Like even Steve Nash was just like, I wish he would put his phone down. You know, it seems like you get the sense that he's on it all the time.
Yeah,
and it's not just a 10-minute thing where he's just like, oh, let me just respond to a few people. It's just like constant scrolling and reading. And
one thing we have to get used to is, you know, for instance,
the era what we're in now.
We're in era. Like Rich was talking about Kyler Murray, you know, with his thing about putting things out, like scrubbing your Instagram. And people have to understand, like, that's the era we're in. This is like all
addicted.
people
We're
know.
all addicted to our phones.
Well, it's not even being addicted. It's you grew up, like for us, we're older. Maybe we don't have that. But like if you're 23, you've had that phone in your hand since birth. Yeah. That's all they know. So yeah, you're gonna like make announcements on your Instagram and Twitter because that's all you know. Like you're gonna spend time on these social media outlets because you're of an age. Now, obviously Durant's in his like early 30s, so a little different. But we're just, you know, different generations. Just you have to adapt to the way the world is, and the world is now. Everyone is going to be talking through their phone. And like I said, I give you props if you're someone who could read something about you in a negative light and just brush it off. Like, kudos.
I don't feel bad for Durant either. He made his bed with this whole situation. Yeah. He decided to leave the Warriors. Nobody should feel bad for this guy at all. He still has won championships. He's one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, I don't think he's asking anyone to feel bad for him.
He's definitely not, but the narrative of like, what is Durant thinking has definitely been out there for the last week. That's why I just wanted to bring it up with you guys. All right, let's we're nearing the end here. Let's just get out on this.
Not to interrupt, it would help though if he were to be able to get a title where he was that quote unquote unquestioned bus driver. Yeah. Then it would be like, what can you say now? You can't say anything.
Just because with the Steph Curry thing with that Finals MVP, that was a little asterisk. Now this is something with Durant. Whether people like it or not, that will always be something that people will say about Kevin Durant unless he wins a championship by himself on his own team.
I totally agree with you with that. All right, let's get out of here. 5 minutes on. We promised we were going to talk about it finally. We had Juancho Hermangonez in studio about it. Obviously, we love Adam Sandler. Let's talk a little bit of Hustle. If you haven't seen it yet, it is awesome. I loved it. It might have been a little too long to the point that TJ is going to bring up, but the basketball scenes were great. You may have knew which direction it was going or maybe how it was going to end, but I had so much fun with it. The cameos from, I think there were like 25 something NBA players in there. Kenny Smith was great, not playing himself, but playing an agent, Leon Rose, right? Or what was it? Leon Paul.
He's probably based on Rich Paul and
Leon Rose.
Rose.
So Leon Paul, great character he was. I loved it. I have the story of Adam Sandler as a scout for Philadelphia, and he's off to find the next big international player, and he does so in Herman Gomez. What did you guys think?
Well, you said about the time thing. That wasn't me. That was more Adam. I think Adam had a time issue.
Right?
He thought it was a little too long with the training montage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it was just like this. Bottom line, I'm not Siskel nor am I Ebert. I will just say this. Do you like Adam Sandler?
Yes.
Check yes. Do you like basketball?
Yep.
Check
Yes.
yes. Boom. Go watch Hustle.
Yeah, right.
It's just that simple.
Add
It's like
NBA players, stir and serve it hot.
yeah, I mean, what more do you want to say? It's if you're not an Adam Sandler fan, then you're not gonna like Hustle. If you don't like basketball, you're probably not gonna like Hustle. But if you like those two worlds, it's like chocolate and peanut butter in a Reese's Pieces. It comes together and it's magical and it's fun and it was just a fun watch, and I had a great time with it. You know, Wancho did his thing as Bo Cruz, and it's just another of the long list of Sixers front office head-scratching mistakes when you have a guy as talented as Bo Cruz and your lifelong scout / coach.
Wait, hold on. Are we doing spoilers with this or no?
Well, at this point, I mean,
Yeah, spoilers. I
Okay,
mean, it's been out.
spoilers.
okay, yeah,
Just making sure.
It's soon
Okay.
tape, but it's like I said, the Sixers had Bo Cruz, and they decided they didn't want him. So it's just another in the long list. Tomorrow night, I don't know what's going to happen with the Sixers in the draft. They might do the same thing. I don't know.
And he ended up on the Celtics.
And he ended up on the
that was
Celtics,
the
which
funniest part.
aggravates me even more. And I realized he was only on the Celtics because Wancho was on the Celtics. But still, it still annoyed me that the Sixers had this guy and we passed him up.
It was
and
like
made it to the
reliving
Celtics.
your Jason Tatum nightmare all over again.
Oh, and Adam, that's a nightmare that I will never, ever wake up from. As Jason Tatum wins championships and MVPs, there's always going to be me sitting there going, man.
And by the way, and I'm going to be right there next to you to remind you every step of the way.
Yes, you
What was your favorite NBA cameo, Adam? I don't think Anthony Edwards counts. He was in it.
I was going to say Anthony
he was in
Edwards.
it a little too much.
Yeah, he wasn't
Anthony
quite a-
Edwards was awesome.
he
in
wasn't
this
quite a
movie.
cameo.
He played the perfect villain.
Perfect.
That guy was awesome. He legitimately has a future acting career ahead of him.
Absolutely.
He was fantastic in this movie. I hate to be. Everybody loves this guy, but come on, the Boban cameo.
It was awesome.
It was so great, especially that scene where they show his son. And he's like, "How
what
old
do you
are
hate
you?"
about saying it then? You said,
Well, it's just I want to go against the grain and say, like, I don't know, Trae Young or somebody like that. That it's like, oh, there's Trae Young or
well, it was
or there's
great when
Tobias.
Boban waved Trae Young off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Boban showing up. I'm 22. Yes, I'm 22. And then his 6'10" son comes in. He's like, he's 12. Like, wait a second.
Hold on. What?
Is that physically possible?
I mean, technically, no.
I
You got to
don't
be
know.
13,
Not
I
really.
think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I'm a little biased also. I was lucky enough to cover it for the show. I had to go to the premiere in Westwood. It was such a trip because I was watching the premiere under the same roof as LeBron James and Adam Sandler. I was like, what is my life right now?
It was amazing.
It was so bizarre, actually. And there was a lot of famous people there, and Queen Latifah was there. And
By the way, Queen Latifah and Adam Sandler as a couple, the couple I never knew we needed, but, you know, I was like, okay, fine.
Oh, wait, did you buy that? Did you buy them together?
I did once you kind of got the backstory of how athletic she was,
Right.
how athletic he was.
Yeah.
Like, I've gone to school with people like those.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Because that was definitely a little jarring at first. You're like, oh, they're married.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, at
Right,
first you're like, really?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
never would put Sandler and Latifah
No,
together as a married
absolutely
couple.
not.
But-
Usually it's just him and Jennifer Aniston.
yeah.
yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. Yeah, I had a couple critiques. Obviously, like you said, I'm not Siskel, Ebert, or Roper, but still, a couple critiques. Like I said, a little too long. To me, it could have been cut by 20 to 30 minutes. The training scenes, while fun, they just dragged on a little too much for me. I thought they were definitely trying to emulate the Rocky. It had a Rocky theme to it, obviously, being in Philadelphia, sports movie, him, training, the montage. That could have been cut a little. Another critique for me, and I told you guys this before, was I didn't think that the Bo Cruz character was incredibly likable. He seemed a little bit like he was not very grateful for all of what Sandler's, what was his name, what Burt was doing for him.
Yeah.
He could have been a little more likable. Maybe they
Stanley.
showed some of his, I don't know why I called him.
Because there's a guy named Burt Sugarman, and maybe you're thinking of that.
Oh,
but
maybe,
it's Stanley
yeah.
Sugarman.
Yeah, Stanley Sugarman, yeah. He could have, to me, been a little more likable, and maybe show a little more of his backstory of him working construction and some of his life. But at this point, I'm kind of nitpicking on that.
And again, Adam, he was being lied to the whole time he was here. So maybe him being a little standoffish was right, because essentially Stanley was lying to him the whole time.
Yeah, no, I can see that where he'd be standoffish, but also this guy brought him for the opportunity of a lifetime, where if he didn't do that, he just would have been a construction worker in Spain.
But also,
his whole
he
life.
was assuming that the Sixers were paying for everything. So
Yeah, that's true.
So he was kind of like, what do I care if I only take one bite of this $60 steak?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the team's paying for it. They're billionaires. He didn't realize, obviously, spoiler alert, that Adam Sandler's character is footing the bill for all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to me, it felt like in the training scenes, he obviously wanted, he was going hard, but the entire time, I didn't get that feeling like he was desperate to make the NBA like another guy would. He just was, it felt like the Sandler character was way more desperate for this to work out than Bo Cruz was.
Yeah,
because he was.
I think that's true. Yeah,
because Bo was pretty resigned to the fact that he was going to work construction and raise his daughter. That was his, and hustle people on the blacktop. So
yeah, where Stanley was essentially having a career / midlife crisis where he thought to himself, this has to work out for me or else maybe my career is over. And so I respected that with Sandler's just a great actor. This guy, he went just from the funny guy in Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, and he's a legitimately good dramatic actor. And you combine that with the fact that he was able to make the jokes in between. That's what I enjoyed about the movie. It had a serious tone, but there were multiple moments where I laughed out loud. And so that's what I really enjoyed about the movie. It was the combination of it being more of a serious drama, but you have the comedy within it. And that's what I really enjoyed about the movie. And then, like you guys have said, as a basketball fan, you can't help but not to enjoy the movie. The cinematography and the shots that they had of the training and in some of the games were incredible.
Cool. I love the beginning where we meet Bo Cruz and he's wearing the construction boots while he's hustling guys, even while he's in New York and he's still trying to hustle guys. And they're like, Adam Sandler's like, you don't have to do that anymore. Like, you're going to be in the NBA. You don't have to hustle guys for $20. And then how they got social media involved. What was Score on Bo or something? What was the hashtag? Anyway,
I don't remember.
Just the Bo challenge. Like that was awesome. Like I said, I had so much. It was a really great, fun, kind of uplifting. If you love NBA, 2 hours like to just spend and chill out. So it was great. It was great. I loved everything about it.
Do you think people who don't love basketball would still enjoy it? I was wondering about it. I don't know.
I think so. I mean, it's just also has a feel good story.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's a happy ending, and it's ups and downs, family dynamic.
Yeah, and anytime you're doing something for your family,
there's a villain, Ben Foster's character. He's kind of runs the Sixers, like. He's kind of a dick, and so. But
it's clearly made for basketball fans. It has those Easter eggs of even like the cameos by the professor and lethal shooter, and so you have those Easter eggs for the real hoops heads that gives it more of a fun time to watch.
Yeah, it was great. All right, we're gonna have a little more fun chats like this throughout the summer off season. We'll probably talk some summer league. We'll recap the NBA draft next week, and we're gonna have lists, people. All these Instagram lists, my goodness, we're going to have our take on all of these. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It was a really fun NBA season. Hope you enjoyed our coverage of it.
I miss basketball.
And there's more to come. I know, it's been a week and we already missed ball.
Draft tomorrow, at least.
Yeah, draft tomorrow, so check it out. Adam and TJ, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Later.